We're going to begin with our treasurer, assistant treasurer, secretary, and assistant secretary candidates. Our candidates for treasurer are Jeff Dellamajora and Lori McLean. Ms. McLean said she was going to be able to be here, but unfortunately had something come up at the last minute. She's not able to join us. Mr. Dellamajora had a previous commitment. He let us know when we first reached out to him, but he has sent a surrogate who happens to be here in the district, Mr. Tim Ryan. I'm asking Mr. Tim Ryan to give 2 minutes to tell you why he believes you should support his friend, Jeff Dellamajora.
Well, good evening, friends. It's truly an honor to be here with you today. My name is Tim Ryan, and I have the privilege of introducing someone to you that I've known for over 30 years, someone I've worked alongside and trusted through every season of life, and it's Jeff Dellamajora, your candidate for Georgia Republican Party Treasurer. Jeff and I go all the way back to Stone Mountain. We attended the same high school, graduated from Georgia State University, go Panthers, and we both were top producing newspaper reps selling door-to-door for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, earning our way through school. Even back then, Jeff stood out not just for his results, but for his relentless work ethic and his ability to lead. That drive has never changed. In fact, that same spirit is what helped Jeff build a $30 million company from the ground up. No safety nets, no shortcuts, just vision, determination, and an unshakable belief in doing things the right way. That experience matters, and as treasurer, Jeff will bring the financial discipline, strategic thinking, and operational excellence needed to steward our party's resources with care and precision. But Jeff is more than a businessman. He's a proud veteran who has always prioritized service to his country, his family, his community, and this party. In 2021, he was elected vice chair of the Fulton County GOP, and he didn't just hold that title. He rolled up his sleeves and he got to work. At the time, there weren't a lot of real systems in place for poll watching or voter challenges, both critical pillars of our election integrity. Working alongside a dedicated group of Republicans, Jeff played a key role in building that structure, and he recruited, organized, and trained poll watchers, developing and implementing the first meaningful voter challenge process in Fulton County. He identified a gap and stepped up to fill it with integrity, purpose, and real results. As treasurer, that same can-do leadership will drive every decision that Jeff makes. He'll deliver clean, accurate financial reports. He'll ensure transparent, accountable stewardship of every dollar. He'll work in lockstep with the State Executive Committee and our chair to execute on the shared vision. And he won't just fundraise. He's going to energize donors and grassroots, supporters alike, building a war chest to elect Republicans up and down the ballot. Jeff's not running to make a name for himself. He's stepping up, and again, because he believes in this party, in our conservative values, and in the future of Georgia. Now, I know his last name might be a bit of a tongue twister and give a spelling bee champion night sweats, but remember it, Jeff Dellamajora. Write it down, say it 3 times on the way to the ballot box, because that's the name of the leader who will protect our dollars, protect our integrity, and help lead this party to continued victory. I'm proud to call Jeff my friend and even prouder to support him, and I hope you'll stand with me in voting for Jeff Dellamajora for Georgia Republican Party Treasurer. Thank you, Chairman, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Tim. And the next candidate we will be hearing from is the only candidate who qualified for assistant treasurer. It is our own Jenny Ekman from here in the 3rd District, and I like to tell Jenny she must be living right because no one wanted to run against her. So ladies and gentlemen, Jenny Ekman.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Ekman, and I am running for assistant treasurer. I am the current assistant treasurer, and I am asking for your vote. If you don't know me, I'm an electrical engineer. I have 2 construction companies and a small farm, and I farm after 5. I am in our community. I'm a Rotarian. I also am on the Harris County Fire Department. I've held every office almost in the county party, from chairman to cleanup crew. Whatever I'm asked to do, I'm willing to do it. and I am willing to work hard, and my knowledge of QuickBooks is what I ran on last time. And I still have this knowledge because both my companies use QuickBooks, and I know it quite well. And let's see, I'm not a public speaker, but anything that our chairman or the executive committee assigns me to do, I will do it to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Next, we will also be hearing from our candidates for secretary and assistant secretary. They will each have 2 minutes. We will start alphabetically with Miss Cindy Nixon.
Sorry, I was dozing there for a minute. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Ellen Nixon, and I am a candidate for the office of secretary. Just real quick about myself. I was born in Washington. I grew up in California, but I've been in Gwinnett County for over 40 years. And my sister and I live in Peachtree Corners, which is kind of a competition with Peachtree City. I am an RN, a registered nurse, and have been so for nearly 50 years. And before I tell you more about myself, I do want to make one clarification, is that you may hear rumors going around that there are slates that are being developed among the candidates. I want to reassure you that I am not on anyone's slate. I am running by myself, and I'm running because I'm one of you, a grassroots conservative. However, if I am elected to serve as your secretary, I will support any of the officers that you elect because I respect your vote. My experience is that I've been secretary for the Gwinnett County Republican Party for 4 years. I now serve as assistant secretary. I'm currently now secretary of the 4th Congressional District, and I've also served as secretary for the Conservative Republican Women of North Atlanta, and also the Gwinnett County Republican Assembly. I have really 2 main goals, but a third one. The main goal is that I want to create a communication between you and the state. Right now, I know there is no communication. You elect the officers, and therefore you deserve the right to know what the officers that you elected are doing. And so I want to improve that and keep you updated on what's going on at the state level. The other goal I have is to improve the communication between the counties, because as we know, there are some counties that are kind of struggling, and there are other counties that are just knocking it out of the park. So why not share that information so we're all successful? Because at the end of the day, oh, I got a big white X there. And also, too, I want to help the new secretaries, because just help them with knowing how to do an agenda, knowing how to do minutes correctly and according to our favorite Robert's Rules of Order. So I kindly ask for your vote, and I just got the bell, and I look forward to seeing you all in Dalton. Bye-bye.
Now we'll hear from Ms. Susie Voiles.
I'm Susie Voiles, and I'm so happy to be back among you. I'm not only happy to see so many new faces that have joined us since 2020, but of course I'm really thrilled that so many of us have been warriors for a long time. I was taught by my family that being an American involves stewardship, and that means getting in and serving and doing a good job. Part of that stewardship is knowing what to steward. This party is very, very important to me, and for more than just the last 4 years, I have seen the crumbling foundations because I was trained well by my parents, as many of you are training your children well. We've been trying to undergird that for a long time, and that's why we're so thrilled that there's so many of you in here. I will faithfully serve as secretary to make sure my notes are not only impeccable and my minutes are accurate, but being a legal analyst for an attorney right now, I have the ability, and I'm kind of a grammar Nazi anyway, I have the ability to make sure, and the foresight, to make sure that my words are neither inflammatory, they are just accurate, and they will not cause problems down the road. because in this environment that we're in, with so many litigious people, we really need to make sure that our accounts don't inspire somebody to look for something that isn't there. I love this party. I love this state. I will faithfully serve. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and a proud grandmother of 5 and growing children. And my last daughter is getting married, finally, this September, my oldest. And we're so excited for her. But I promise to steward this job faithfully and to make sure that the principles of our founding fathers are not only continued, but they are built upon. Thank you very much.
And we're moving on to the Assistant Secretary candidates with Caroline Jeffords.
Hello, and thank you for being here this evening. My name is Caroline Jeffords, and I am here to ask for your vote for Assistant Secretary of the Georgia GOP. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a native Georgian. I graduated from Georgia Tech, but I do cheer for the Bulldogs when they're not playing Georgia Tech. Yeah, exactly. But I have gotten involved in politics. Well, I've loved politics all my life, but I really got involved in 2020. I think like most of you, when we kind of thought everything was okay, and then we're like, what happened here? You know, I felt like our election was being stolen right before our eyes. And so I actually stood up and I was in Fulton County, or am in Fulton County, and made folks aware that some things were not going right. So got signed on to a lawsuit where we were suing Fulton County to access the ballots, the absentee ballots, to determine, and actually Susie's affidavit is one that's in my lawsuit. And that lawsuit is actually still ongoing. And so hopefully we'll get to the truth, not looking to relitigate or do anything along those lines, but just want to get to the truth. But most importantly, since then, I've been involved with the Fulton County Party as Assistant Secretary. I'm the current Secretary of the Georgia GOP. Susie was interested in running for Secretary, and Susie's been involved for over 20 years. And when she says something or wants to do something, I say, you just let me get out of the way. But she's a fabulous lady. But I'm just here to serve the Republican Party with courage and morals and integrity. And because really, at the end of the day, as executive officers, you're putting us there to vote and to vote for the right thing. And that's what I'm there to do. And I think I've proven that I've been willing to stand up when it's tough, no matter what, to do the right thing. And I would appreciate your vote at the convention in June. Thank you.
My name is Jaquan Stembridge. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Greene County, Georgia. And just like a lot of you, I also got involved in 2020. I got involved in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic when the world was shut down and the government wanted to take full control of our lives. I grew up an only child in a single-parent household, in a Democrat household, so I was always taught that this party was the party of rich white men that cared nothing about people that looked like me. Well, during COVID, I figured out that was far from the truth, and I also figured out during COVID that I did not like having the government in full control of my life. So I got involved, I took a stand, I started volunteering with the Trump campaign in 2020. In 2022, I became a field organizer for the Georgia Victory Team, where we knocked on doors, made phone calls, wrote postcards, and did everything we could to help get Republicans elected in 2022. In 2023, I started up the Georgia's 10th Congressional District Team Republicans because I wanted to empower other young people to have a seat at the table in this party. And now I'm running for Assistant Secretary because I believe it is time now more than ever that young people and Gen Z have a seat at the table in our party. We need to become the party of the future and not become the party of the past. Ronald Reagan once said that freedom was never more than one generation away from extinction, and Ronald Reagan was right. So if we don't start doing some work and actually stop talking about it and do something about it, we're going to lose our party. So I'm running so that we don't lose our party.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kylie Kramer, and thank you, Katie, so much for having us all here tonight, and for all of you to being here. I grew up in Marietta, Georgia. Here, now I'm kind of in Roswell area, but I'm executive director of Women for America First, and I also do consulting work doing public relations and government affairs in D.C. Most of you may know my work from the 2020 election when we all were horrified watching what was going on TV with our ballots being stolen and suitcases of ballots being dropped off. I helped lead a coalition called Stop the Steal, and we did some amazing work where we went all across the nation. We had the March for Trump bus tour that went coast to coast, and then we had the 3 massive rallies in D.C., November 12th, December 14th, and January 6th at the White House Ellipse with President Trump. I had the honor of being asked to speak by President Trump that day at the White House, and it is a day that I will never forget. And it's not because of what the media and the left has turned it into. It's because it was an incredible journey with so many patriots that love our country and are fighting for our freedoms and election integrity. So I'm stepping up to run for Assistant Secretary because I want to be a part of the process, and I want to make sure that we have our messaging getting out. We have not been getting out minutes or resolutions, and it's not just to have a seat. The Assistant Secretary is not just to assist the Secretary. It's also a seat at the Georgia GOP to be a voting member. And that is very important because we need individuals that are willing to stand up for what is right and to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable as well as the Democrats on the left. So I look forward to meeting all of you, and I look forward to being in Dalton come this June. And I ask for your vote. Thank you so much.
And now we're going to hear from our candidates for second vice chair. We will start with Mr. Brad Barnes.
Thank you so much, Katie. My name is Brad Barnes. I'm running for second vice chair of the state party. I'm one of you guys. I'm from Rome, Georgia, which is best known across the country as the home now of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But before that, we were probably best known for being the home of Berry College. I have a background in software and data engineering. I have years of experience as an on-the-ground grassroots political organizer. I'm probably best known outside of my immediate area in the state for my battles against the wicked Fani Willis of Fulton County. In 2023, I filed for her arrest in Fulton County courts on 4-count indictment, and that ended up making international news. I was on the news in 12 different countries. The wicked liberal media called me a MAGA extremist, even though I'm quite a sensible and nice guy. Also I'm well known for working on free speech and for election integrity. I want to expand and empower our grassroots. I want to supercharge our county parties. I want to build our young Republican and college Republican chapters out across the state. We're not going to have Donald Trump on the ballot in 2026. And the Democrats know that. The Democrats are going to be coming very hard for us. We're looking at between $500 million to $1 billion being dumped by the Democrats in our state. And we're going to need the A-team. We're going to need a huge grassroots army to counter that. And I need you to be part of that. I hope to be part of that. So if you want to win, and you want to win big, if you want a bigger and a better and a bolder GOP, bet on Brad at the state convention. I'm the guy for the job. Thank you so much.
We respect efficiency. Now, Noreen Cantor.
Hello. Is this on? It's not. Is it? Can you hear me? Okay, good. I'm Noreen Cantor. I'm running for second vice chair of the state. The reason I'm running is because we have no transparency, no integrity, and no grassroots in the GOP. The grassroots are what we need in the GOP and down at the Capitol. Not just the ones that are down there, because they're not grassroots, they're rhinos. We need grassroots, America First candidates down there that will vote the way we want to. We have about 2 or 3 down there that actually vote for the right. For us, we need more. We need to recruit grassroots from the bottom up. I attended the Leadership Institute, so I know what I'm talking about. You get them, you recruit them, you train them, you support them, you put them in office, and here's a big one. You hold them accountable. And if they don't do their part, you primary them. Because we've got enough people down there that all they care about is what's going to happen to them next, how much money they make. They don't care about we the people, so we need to change that. So I hope I can be in charge of that and work with all the counties. So I ran last year for House District 30. The reason I ran is because our representative had a 34% voting score. And if you know what that means, he votes with the Democrats. He's a rhino, so I primaried him. I didn't win, but I sure got a lot of people understanding what a voting score is, so now they really pay attention to it. So that was worth it. So I'm very transparent, and I want to talk to you about this horrible NDA that we have to sign to get the delegate list. And I'm telling you, $25,000 fine for each incident against the state GOP. 3 years, not just the time that we have, 3 years. And then you have to go to Fulton County in front of their judge, and they won't let you have a jury trial. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to take whatever they can away from you to get that money. I will not sign this. I'm being very transparent about it. And this is what I think about the NDA. And I will not be a part of this communist crap we have. So I'm Noreen Cantor. I'm running for second vice chair. I'm America First, grassroots, Trump-supporting candidate with integrity. I hope you hire me. Thank you.
Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Betsy Kramer, and like I said last night, my last name is spelled K-R-A-M-E-R. There's some confusion out there that I might be related to someone else that pronounces their name Kramer, but it's really Kremer, so that's K-R-E-M-E-R. I'm also not related to any Kramer in Georgia except my husband, Stephen, where I get my name from. Anyway, I'm running for the second vice chairman of the Georgia GOP. I stand before you proud to be a longtime grassroots activist and someone deeply concerned about the future of our party. In 2009, I walked away from the Democrat Party, and I found the conservative movement through the Tea Party. And from there, I never turned back. And I've been working ever since, from the local to district, good, speak Betsy, district, county, and state levels. I've been working throughout. And some of the things that I've done, last year I was a 2024 presidential elector. I went to the RNC twice, well, not really twice, 2020 wasn't really, never happened. And I went last year, 2024, and I've just done a lot of, my resume is very tiny, keeps getting smaller all the time. But anyway, I want to be your second vice chair because I want to work with the chairman and the executive committee to determine our initiatives and have measurable outcomes, because 2026 is just around the corner, and we need to engage the grassroots now, which I think we can do that. And from there, I've also been working on election integrity since before 2020, when everybody else got involved. I was a poll manager for over a decade, and from there, I got involved with the Trump campaign, and I recruited over 600 poll watchers in 2020, and then again in 2024. I've raised thousands of dollars for the party. I've also recruited thousands of volunteers to do other things, and I've also helped elect conservatives to different positions throughout the state. So we're at a crossroads right now. We need to all be together. We all need to work together and stop infighting. I can only ask you to vote for me because I'm going to say one team, one mission, and one Georgia, because otherwise we're not going to survive. So please vote for me in Dalton, Betsy Kramer. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shawnee Zappendorf. I know we're supposed to take this time to talk about ourselves, but I do want to make a recognition for Miss Judy Bailey from Gwinnett County that's passed away. And just think about her smile and her kindness. And that's what we need. You know how short life is? Remember that? And we need to be kind to each other. You know, President Trump won. So what else is there for us to fight about? We need to all work together and work towards our goal. We have lots of elections coming up that everybody knows about. And I also wanted to thank Ms. Julianne Thompson. Without her generosity and kindness and bringing a whole group of women, can you imagine that she bring a whole group of women together? And that's how we got to Ms. Judy. And I just want to recognize that. And everybody should be out there recruiting other people to join our party. Remember the first time that you were at an event? Well, remember that, because it takes someone else to reach out to the other people to bring them to our party. And if you being around, be a mentor to somebody. If you're new, seek out a mentor. When you have a buddy to go to these meetings, like we were driving hours to come here, I've offered every single person here to carpool because that's how we work. And I've been preaching unity all year, and that's what it starts with, yourself. Be united and be the one to create the unity amongst everybody. And I have a Brad sticker. Anyway, so those of you that know me, this is actually homecoming for me. I used to live about 12 miles from here, and that's how I started everything. I didn't like some of the things that were going on in our county, in Fayette. And I was an advocate for a group that couldn't speak for themselves, or they were too embarrassed to speak for themselves. There was a group of families that had low, economical income. They were just being put in whatever school that, the county told them to. And so I started, advocating for people that are running against the board, are what we consider rhinos. Anyway, this time a year ago, I was one of your proudly elected 59 delegates to the RNC. And I also have a state committee position. And I was your District 7 secretary, and I also helped out on the local level, and was a county chair. The reason for serving all those different levels is because we have no gap in communications. So this way we can all work together. And I'm married for 27 years to an Army veteran, and I also have 2 boys that are United States Army officers. And I would be honored and privileged to serve you as the next second vice chair. Thank you.
And now we have our candidates for first vice chair, Ms. Sally Grubbs.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sally Grubbs, and I hail from Marietta, Cobb County, Georgia. And, it's kind of funny because people say, well, let me read your speech or whatever, and I never write down what I'm going to say. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of information, and then I'm going to do something I'm going to call political evangelism. This is my card. You had them in your seat. It has all my information on the back. I've been a Republican all my life. And I'm going to tell you, in the advent of social media, back in the mid-2000s, when I first got Facebook, I was a Facebook stalker when my son went to college in 2005, and they came out with Facebook. And so I creeped on his page. And then I graduated to my own Facebook page. And that's where I started following Miss Susie Voiles. And didn't know her from Adam's House Cat, but I started following her, and then I started following Debbie Dooley. And I was like, these women are saying the things that I think in my head about where we are going in this country. And when Obama became elected, and I thought, we're going to heck in a handbasket in the New York Minute, and we're seeing things that we never thought we'd see. And so finally, in 2020, with that election, I knew they were going to steal it. And I contacted our Secretary of State's office and talked with Chris Harvey. And I said, they're going to steal this election. I knew it. I called in March. Could see the signs a mile away with COVID and what they were doing with the consent agreement. And
So that's when I started getting involved. So in 2021, I ran for chair of Cobb County, and I won. And largely it was because when they shredded ballots in Cobb County, and I chased the shredding truck. If you've heard that story, that was me. And that's when I realized our government didn't care. Because we called the FBI, we called 911, we called the sheriff's department. I went to a police precinct to make a report, and they said, "What do you want to report?" And I said, well, I was at Jim Miller Park, and they said, "We don't take reports for election fraud." I'm like, I didn't even tell you that's what it was for. So the phone calls were already in place on stealing that election. So I'm a passionate patriot, and I'm going to tell you what I said when I testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020, is I'm a passionate patriot, and I don't apologize for that. And I will fight for my vote and your vote. And I have gotten in the party and worked, because you can't make change from the outside. You can't get people to see and understand from the outside. You have to make the change from the inside, but you don't do it by punching people in the nose. You do it by changing hearts and minds, and I've had great success with that. I see Miss Charlene out there. We've been down at the State Election Board together. She's also one of my heroes in standing up for common sense election board rules on counting the ballots. In 2022, I had a proposal to use emergency hand-marked paper ballots, and already I have the X. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you all being here tonight.
Hi, I'm Alice Olenek. I come from Gwinnett County and Putnam County. One county over 80,000, one county under 80,000. Thank you for your invitation tonight. I have some cheat sheets, but I think I'm just going to talk off the cuff. I've been involved in elections for over 12 years. I was appointed in 2012 to the Gwinnett County Board of Registrations and Elections, and I have been reappointed by 5 different chairmen. I have been on the Election Integrity Task Force since it was made on by the Republicans. Some of my work and some of the things that I actually helped shape are now in election law. Miss Sally here just said that we can use emergency ballots. No, we can't. That's one of the laws that we have to change. But right now, we have to use machines. We cannot use an emergency ballot unless the machines are broken. A lot of the things about poll watchers I wrote, and it was passed by the Georgia legislation to go into law. I have appointed poll watchers, adjudicators, absentee ballot monitors. I have done the training. I have written the training. I have handed what I wrote for the training over to the state that they could share it to other people. What else do I do? Okay, I'm an active member of my county party, my district party. I've been assistant secretary of my district. In my Gwinnett County party, I'm on the elections board, so I can't hold another office. However, I'm a doer. I get things done. I volunteer, I do fundraising, I do events, I do whatever is needed, and I will do that for the Georgia GOP. Why am I running? Donald Trump, thank goodness, won the state of Georgia through his energy, his enthusiasm, and his leadership. He won by 115,117 votes. If you look at the size of our state, that's not a lot of votes. So I started contemplating, how are we going to find, he had 2,663,117 votes. How are we going to find those 2 million people who don't call themselves Republicans and they live all over the state? So I have the job of the first vice chair is to take the place of the chairman if necessary and to do the job that the chairman gives us. But I'm adding one more. I will reach out to every congressional district and every county chairman and help them find some of those 2 million people who are like-minded as us and bring them into the party, grow our party, make them feel that they're a part of this party. For far too long, the Republican Party, and I think because we thought we were, all right, I'm done. Okay, so vote for me in Dalton. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Pierce. I'm the current Upson County Chair, and I'm running for first vice chair. I am a Christian. I am a wife of 21 years. I have 2 children and 2 granddaughters and 1 grandson on the way in August. I have lived all over this state. We started when we moved to Georgia in Gwinnett County. I've moved to Bibb County, Hall County, Cherokee County, and now we live on a 30-acre farm in Upson County. So I have a unique view because I've lived all over the state. And for 27 years, I worked in the healthcare industry, both in big cities and small cities. So it gives me a unique perspective in knowing the needs of Georgians. So why am I running? I'm running because we need people on the executive committee who will push Trump's agenda, meaning hand-marked, hand-counted ballots. And that's one-day voting. The only way that we can verify our votes is if we have paper ballots, so we have to move that forward. Second is because I am the only one that represents an under 80,000 county, and that brings a unique. There's a lot of those counties, and we need some representation on the board. Third is proven leadership. I am the only chair up here who can say that I grew my Republican votes, because that's where it counts, right, people? You can grow your membership, and I know people have kind of made fun of the fact that I say that I grew my membership by 500%, and oh, you might have grown it from 2 to 10. No, people. We grew it from 9 people to 45 people, so for our small county, that's pretty darn good, okay? But the results are the bottom line. If you compare 2020 to 2024, we grew 3% overall Republican voters, and we had a 2.55% decrease in Democrat votes in our county. So we really push forth the Republican vote. I have proven that I can stand here and grow the Republican Party, and I'm the only one who's the chair that can say that. All right? And last, is that 2026 is a pivotal year. We have the governorship, we have AG, Secretary of State, but most importantly, we have to change the Senator Ossoff to a Republican. I hope you all agree with that. But the only way that's going to happen is if we have a grassroots organization, and we've got to start building that right now. So my friends, I'm running because I believe in a stronger, freer, and more prosperous America in Georgia. Please vote for Lisa Pierce as first vice chair. Thank you.
And we are going to finish up the speeches with our 2 candidates for chair. They will each have 5 minutes. Mr. David Cross.
Thank you. My name is David Cross. I'm currently the 2nd vice chair for the Georgia GOP. I'm running to become your chairman. I'm running to restore truth, trust, and transparency to the organization. If we can do that, we will grow. We'll grow exponentially. We're in a position right now, we're in a pivotal spot right now where there's a lot of grassroots people out there that feel rejected by the party, they feel ignored. We can't have that. I am the grassroots candidate that is going to bring the party together with the kids that have been on the playground for a long time and the newcomers. And yes, I am a newcomer, and I know that out here there's lots of folks that are newcomers too. We have to show the grassroots out there. We've got to show them respect. We've got to show them appreciation. If we do that, we can grow. Michael Whatley was at the 9th Congressional District what do we call it? The convention, all right, or the gala and the convention. He told us we have 3 mandates, all right? We have to rebuild the party. Now, he just said, rebuild the party. That tells you that there's weakness out there, and it's recognized by President Trump at the top. He also said we have to get out the vote, because like Lisa said, you know, we won by a very small margin. If people don't get out there, if we don't find a way to produce a clone of Trump Force 47 out there, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose huge. And we're going to go from being a fairly red state, like we are now. We used to be ruby red. We're going to end up going blue if we don't have a powerful force out there. He also said that we have to protect the ballot. Now, a couple weeks, or about a month ago, President Trump signed Executive Order 14248. And the issue that he was talking about there was exactly what Lisa said. Hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots at the precinct. The 27 largest, most civilized nations in the world all use hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots at the precinct. We don't. Banana republics use voting machines. Banana republics use the exact voting machines that we use in Georgia. We had an opportunity to get rid of them, but we failed. This most recent legislative session that we had, we didn't get anything of significance passed for election security. House Bill 397 died at around noon on the very last day. The pages down there knew it. It wasn't some last-minute thing where it died at 9 o'clock. It was dead at noon. And there were messages that were sent out that said, you should call out there and you should, rah-rah your representative and get them to, to vote for this thing. And it was dead. We failed President Trump. If I become your chairman, the grassroots chairman, I will carry on President Trump, honor what he wants to do with hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots, and restore integrity to our elections. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josh McCoon. I'm the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, and I'm seeking re-election. I want to give a little historical context to where we are today. In 2018, Governor Kemp was elected to his first term by 45,000 votes. We all know what happened in 2020. In 2022, Herschel Walker lost the opportunity to represent us in the United States Senate in a runoff. Then 2024 came. You elected me your chairman in 2023. Within 3 months, my predecessor, David Schaefer, and 2 other presidential electors were indicted. And suddenly, the Georgia Republican Party not only had to fight a political war in the state of Georgia, but we had to fight a legal war in Fulton County on behalf of people, volunteers just like you, who stood up and said, I'm going to participate in a 23-minute meeting so that President Trump can get his day in court and present the evidence about the election being stolen. And for that, there was an attempt to take their freedom away. So that's what we were facing when I became your chairman. So what did we accomplish? In 2024, we elected President Trump in Georgia with a margin 3 times larger than Governor Kemp in 2018. And that was with Kamala Harris getting more votes than Joe Biden did in 2020. But we also elected 9 Republican members of Congress, including Congressman Brian Jack. That is the difference. That is the difference between an America First agenda going through the Congress and another sham impeachment against President Trump. We returned Republican majorities to the State House and State Senate. And you know this very well in the 3rd District because every county here did it, but over 130 of Georgia's 159 counties shifted to the right. And I'm here to tell you the Georgia Republican Party had a little something to do with that. We deployed the Trump Force 47 field program. If you dealt with a Trump Force 47 staffer, that person was a Georgia Republican Party employee. If you worked out of a Trump Force 47 office, you went to an office that was leased by the Georgia Republican Party. And that world-class field program focused on low propensity voters, not swing voters that might vote for Democrats, but people that we knew if we could dynamite them out of their couch and get them to the ballot, they were going to put it in for Donald J. Trump. and we were incredibly successful. Over 800,000 of the 4 million people who voted early in 2024 did not vote in the 2020 election. That's because of your good work with Trump Force 47. We had a world-class election integrity program. We retained and trained more volunteer attorneys than we've ever had before in our history. With your help, we recruited more poll watchers and covered more poll watching shifts than we ever have before in our history. We filed, intervened in, and won more election integrity lawsuits than ever before in the history of the Georgia Republican Party. And not only did we take the fight to the Democrats at the courthouse and in the precinct, we went to the State House in 2024 and passed 3 critical election integrity laws. Did a lot of different things, but here's just one thing we accomplished. We gave ballot access to left-wing parties to finally have a fair, level playing field, not just the libertarians taking votes away from us, but having votes on the left as well. Those 3 candidates took 40,000 votes that would have gone to Kamala Harris. In an election decided by 115,000 votes, that's a big deal. And while we did all that, we raised over $3 million from our own donors, and we're getting stronger every day. Now, this election's pretty simple. We won the Super Bowl on November 5th. My opponent thinks winning by 3 is not enough. We should have won by 10. That's essentially the argument that's being made. But you don't fire the head coach that wins the Super Bowl. You give them the opportunity to have a repeat in 2026 when we fire California's 3rd Senator Jon Ossoff and return a Republican to the governor's mansion. So if you want to do that, when you go to Dalton in June, vote Josh McCoon to be your state chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. This is the last call. If you have any questions that you would like to submit, there are boxes on the back table there. You can write down anything you would like to ask any of the candidates. And as I said, we did send out email to everyone who received this invitation. We also posted on our Facebook page, and y'all had a lot to ask. So I have some questions that have been submitted already from our audience here, as well as questions that have been submitted online. So we'll get a quick start with a question for our chair candidates. How do we change the way GOP candidates are selected so we can close our primaries and prevent Democrats from voting in them?
So the first thing that we could do, and it's something that my colleague Michael McDonald did in the state of Nevada in the 2024 election, is we could change our delegate selection process for president. By moving to a caucus instead of a primary. And the thing about a caucus is you show up in a place like this, you have the opportunity for people deputized by the campaigns to make arguments for the candidates. There's a discussion, and then there's a vote. And the Republican Party, not the state of Georgia, controls that process. So we can make sure that it's Republicans coming to caucus to choose the Republican delegates for president. That is something that is within our authority to do right now today. Now, we also need to ask the legislature, which we've called for in our legislative agenda for multiple years, is ask the legislature to change the law so that when you register to vote, you register by party. So you register as a Republican or you register as a Democrat, so you declare which party you belong to. And once we do that, we can change the law to say that if you want to participate in a Republican primary, you have to be registered as a Republican, and that's common sense. Republican voters should decide who the Republican nominee is. Thank you.
Okay, as far as making sure that we have or potentially closed primaries, I've contacted a lot of our House members, or several of our House members, several of our senators. I thought that there was going to be a simple solution for doing this. And I get different answers from different folks. And a lot of it has to deal with the size of each one of the counties. Larger counties have different issues than smaller counties and mid-sized counties. And so I don't think that there is really a clear-cut process that can be adopted at this time. Oh, we got 30 seconds. This is quick. But we do have to have an accountability committee at the Georgia GOP. We've got to make sure that we've got solid Republicans that are running for those seats. We've got solid Republicans that are in the seats that, you know, and we're checking up on them. And we have to use that committee to help recruit new candidates as well, too.
All right, there will be 1 minute answer time. I didn't mention that for each question. Our next question is for our candidates for first and second vice chair. The Georgia Republican Party rules do not specify specific duties for the first vice chair or the second vice chair. What is something you believe you would bring to the role and would be your top priority that uniquely qualifies you for this position?
So one of the things that I believe does make me uniquely qualified is for the last 2 years I've been the chair of the over 80 counties. Sorry, I should stand up. And as the chair of the over 80 counties, there are 32 counties that fall in that category. That accounts for about 70% of our voters in Georgia. And having continuity within the county party chairs and in the state levels is one of the things that I'm very focused on. My number one thing is election integrity, and I have the credentials for that. But as the first vice chair, I think that we have to grow the grassroots by providing continuity with the officers and providing the proper training and information to get to everyone in the party so that we're working as one well-oiled machine and not separate different factions.
What are the duties of the first vice chair? Whoever wins here is going to tell the first vice chair and the second vice chair what project they want us to work on. Plus, if they get pushed off a cliff, I have to be able to stand up and take over for them. All right, that's what it says in our rules. What I would like to add to the rules is engage, educate, and energize people who are not calling themselves Republicans, but are conservatives and are voting for as a Republican, which means we have to grow our membership. We have to grow our party. We have 7 million registered voters in Georgia. We should have at least 3 million that we know of that are part of our party. So I would like the first vice chair job to be go out and find those people that vote Republican and we don't know their names, their email addresses, or their phone numbers. And that's why I said earlier that I would engage with congressional districts. Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to repeat the obvious that we don't have any duties right now because we'll be working at the leisure of one of these guys. But no leisure? Dang, okay. Well, but what I would like to see as a new chair, 2024 was my first full year, and we had no support from the Georgia GOP. That's a fact. And so what I would like to do is have a training for new chair people. We mentor those people and let them know how they can grow their party and what they need to do, what's expected of them. Because we need to be successful. We need to unite. I keep hearing we need to unite, and we all need to define what is. But we definitely need to unite so we can move forward and not have 159 counties working in 159 different ways. So I would like to see that first and foremost. Thank you.
So, I mean, the role of the second vice chair is to support the chair in his mission and his goals. So I do look forward to helping the chair, Josh McCoon, get his job done. He mostly focuses on fundraising something like $5,000 a day throughout his term. So as one of the most experienced political organizers in the state, I hope to focus on the grassroots, empowering the county parties, giving them the tools and infrastructure from the state party level that they can do their job so much better and so much easier. Things like a postcard program going out every month to bring in new members, text messaging tools, shared publishing and calendar tools, so that we can grow the party, grow our base, and just very practical things. So that's some of the things I'd like to work on.
Hello. Okay, so if those guys all fall off a cliff and a second vice chair has to step, I'm ready to take over and lead, because I've worked on many campaigns in every aspect. So I want to work with the grassroots because they have been forgotten. I'm talking about America First grassroots candidate, not Rhinos. We need to work with America First grassroots candidates. Get them elected from the ground up. I have a plan called Grassroots 2026 if I win. We'll put that into practice. It starts at the county level to find people that actually want to run for office, because there's people out there that actually want to run, but they have no idea how to do it, how to start anything. And I will work with the counties to find these people, because they're out there and they're America First candidates and they're true grassroots. And hopefully when they go down to the Capitol, they won't turn into Rhinos, because then we'll just turn around and primary them, because we're going to hold them accountable. But we need to support the grassroots candidates. Thank you.
Well, as I said last night to Ms. Cantor, no, I will do it again, because it's not the job of the Republican Party to primary another Republican. Our job is to elect Republicans. That's stated, a lot of you know or found out via a video that went out from Mr. Brant Frost, that I'm that person, or one of these people that are behind the scenes doing a lot. And I've worked a long time with the Georgia GOP as well with other different people. But this past election season, I worked with the Republican Jewish Coalition. I'm Jewish, and we hit low propensity Jewish voters who vote Republican, and we actually increased, I think, 14-15% increase in the Jewish vote for President Trump. So I am going to continue doing that, as well as working with the chairman and getting grassroots people and all that.
So I'm Shawnee Zappendorf, running for second vice chair. And here I come, so I'm the uniter. Some of the things that, I know a lot of people want to accomplish what they want. So what I did is I went and asked others what they want. I don't know if you figure out by now, it's really not about me, it's not about us, it's about what you want, and then we can go accomplish that. But other than what the chairman and then the first vice chair would like for us to accomplish. Some of the things that you guys actually talked about is, okay, we need to do fundraiser because we want the lower fees to go to convention. And then we also want to, participate in the event, but at the same time, if it costs a lot of people can't afford to go. So that's where we come in, where we would like to fundraise to bring more money into the Georgia GOP. And then, of course, we want to continue with the America First agenda. And some of the things that I've been doing with communications as well as training, as the district secretary previously, I had over 52 newsletters out because we want to close the gap on communication. We want to make sure it goes from, since we're at the national level, bring it down to the state level. Oh, I'm not looking there, sorry. And bring down the county and the precinct. Thank you.
We're going to go down to the other end of the table now. We had a question that was submitted for our assistant secretary candidates. What is something you want to do for the party that you would not be able to accomplish without the title of assistant secretary? We can start on the end. Did y'all hear that? What is something you would like to, we can start on the end, Kylie, and work down. What is something you would like to do for the party that you would not be able to accomplish without the title of assistant secretary?
Hi, I'm Kylie Kramer, and the question is, what would I like to do for the party that I could not accomplish without the title of Assistant Secretary? I think it's having transparency within the Executive Committee and within the State Committee. Right now, we don't have any meetings. There are a lot of false narratives out there, but the reality is the last state committee meeting that was held was May of 2024. We are now in May of 2025. And the last executive committee meeting was August of 2024. That is unacceptable. And being on the executive committee, I would ensure that we had enough votes to force the chairman's hand to make sure that we are having votes, because we need transparency. We need to make sure that we are getting out and communicating messages with those of you across the state. The meeting minutes, the resolutions that are passed, there are so many things that it's hush, hush, quiet, don't talk about it, and everything's just go along to get along. And I think that we've all had enough of that, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm running to be a part of this board and for assistant secretary.
Could you repeat the question again, please?
What is something you would like to accomplish for the party that you do not believe you could accomplish without the role of assistant secretary?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things I would like to do, but here's the thing. I won't sit here and stand up here and lie to you and say that I can't help get youth involved without the title. I won't tell you that I can't help with Black outreach without the title. But I will tell you this. People take you more seriously when they know that you have a true seat at the table. When they hear the little 18-year-old who's just calling up, they say, oh, that's just a kid. What is he calling me about, But when they hear that he's an assistant secretary of the Georgia Republican Party, there's a lot more seriousness that starts coming out of their mouth. They want to say, okay, this young man is really about business, and I can do everything that I talk about here without the title, but it's a lot easier with the assistant secretary title. I've done it as Georgia Teen Republicans chairman, but now I believe it's time for me to do it at the big boys league.
I'm Caroline Jeffords, and I think one of the things that I'm currently doing as secretary with that title and would continue to use if I were elected assistant secretary is primarily fundraising, and that's one thing that we haven't talked much about today. If you don't do fundraising, you don't have the lights on. I know Josh said that comment last night, so if you don't have the lights on, nothing else happens. And that's something that I've been pretty successful with, assisting Josh. I've helped raise over $150,000 for legal expenses of the 3 electors that he mentioned, as well as the case I had mentioned to you, my lawsuit. I've raised over $250,000 for that, but I've also encouraged friends who are independent voters and just folks that I've known and encountered with to donate to the Georgia Republican Party and donate to our candidates. And that's why we had a Laura Trump event a few weeks ago, and I brought 12 people. They ended up donating almost $20,000. They had a fabulous time. They got to meet a lot of lawmakers, legislators who are running for various office. So that is one way that having the title of assistant secretary or any role, executive role within the Georgia Republican Party helps give you validity with those that you're helping to bring into the party.
Our next question will be for our chair candidates. Can y'all hear me now? All right. How do you plan to build on the momentum of President Trump's win in 2024 for 2026? Let me start with you, Mr. Cross.
All right. It's going to take a lot of work, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. You've got to have solid plans in place. The first thing we have to do is we have to build trust. The way that that's going to happen is we're going to have to doge the Georgia GOP. The reason why is right now we don't have trust and accountability. When I talk with major donors that are out there, they tell me that I only give to the candidates. I don't give to the party. Why? Because I don't know where my money's going to. There's a lot of things that we need to do out there. We've got to bring in young Republicans. I'm going to create a scholarship, for those folks. We've got to have our sheriffs involved, particularly in the counties where Trump won, but we have Democrats that are running, that are sheriffs, all right? We've got to bring back David Schaefer's 5-star program to show how we measure and have accountability at our, at our county parties. Oh, I've got so much more to say, but I'm getting the hook. We've got a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Thank you.
So as Caroline mentioned, fundraising is key. When we had J.D. Vance in December of 2023, we raised $125,000 at that event. In April this year with Laura Trump, we raised over $300,000. How did we do that? We've got more people at the table. We've got more donors supporting the party than ever before because we have demonstrated the result, which was winning the November election. We have to build again the election integrity machinery we had in 2024. That means passing 397 next year in 2026. It means having the lawyers. It means building that machine again so that we know we're going to have a fair election. And we do have to have our own version of Trump Force 47 for 2026. We've got to have staff all over the state. The other thing we need to make sure we duplicate from 2024 is working so well with groups like Turning Point Action, the Faith and Freedom Coalition, Greater Georgia, and Tea Party Patriots. With all those ingredients together, we can fire John Ossoff and hold on to the governor's mansion. Thank you.
Okay, so this question came in for Mr. Cross specifically. Your FINRA broker check shows that you were terminated by Merrill Lynch due to a lack of management confidence. There are also multiple infractions on your record and complaints. You've also said that former First Vice Chair Brian K. Pritchard, who is facing charges of voting illegally while serving out a felony sentence for forging checks, would be a key part of your team. How do you believe that this team would inspire trust from big donors?
Okay, do I have more than 1 minute? Because your question took more than 1 minute. Okay. I was fired from Merrill Lynch because I was a senior vice president there, top of the rung. I was high as you could possibly get. I had a client that wanted information on her account. She simply wanted to know how much money was coming in each month. I gave that information to her. The firm didn't want me to do that. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing illegal. I did nothing corrupt. I got my client the information that she wanted, and I was fired for my integrity. That's number one. Number two, am I going to involve Brian Pritchard in my administration? He's a friend, yes. He's a valuable resource for information about what's going on in Georgia. Is he going to become my executive director? No. I'm not going to hire my best friend, to be my executive director the way that our current chairman hired his best friend. I'm going to be able to inspire confidence in our large donors out there, and I know quite a few, but they won't give to the Georgia GOP because they don't trust us. We've got to rebuild trust, and again, that comes down to we have to doge the Georgia GOP. Our current chairman has put personal expenses onto the company credit card, and in my business, if that had happened, there would have been a police report and somebody would have been fired.
Well, Mr. Cross, you set up the next question. For Chairman McCoon, the Georgia party rules say that the Georgia finances need to go through a financial review or an audit. Are you willing to do that in your next term as chairman, including any all credit cards?
Yes, so we will have a financial review. That occurs after every election cycle. It occurred 2 years ago. It will occur this year. There will be a complete review of the finances from top to bottom. The Georgia Republican Party is incredibly transparent financially. Every expense, every contribution is reported. Those reports are prepared by our staff. They're reviewed by our treasurer. They are then submitted under oath to the various regulated agencies for federal and state campaign disclosures. We have demonstrated time and again how important it is to treat donor resources like our own money. One of the reasons that I think it is so important to invest in the Georgia Republican Party that I contributed $10,000 of my own money this year to the Georgia Republican Party because what we do matters. It is incredibly important. It's incredibly consequential. And the fact of the matter is, we run a very tight ship. If you look at our expenditures, you will find the vast majority of them have gone either to direct political action or to legal action. You know, we have fought a two-front war over the last 2 years. You know, other state parties that were facing the same thing we were facing, the Arizona Republican Party had to sell their headquarters. The Michigan Republican Party went broke, and they wound up calling a special convention and elected a new chairman. But in Georgia, we kept the lights on because we had a great team working hard to fundraise. And my opponent in this race talks about people not having confidence in the Georgia GOP. If he has the ability to fundraise, he could have fundraised for Donald Trump in 2024, and he didn't.
How would he possibly know that?
No rebuttal, Mr. Cross. Ms. Grubbs, this question was submitted specifically for you. You have served as the chair of the over 80,000 counties, but as first vice chair, how do you plan to reach out to the under 80,000 counties that you have not previously worked with?
Actually, I have worked with a number of the under 80 counties. That's why I'm a little bit surprised at Lisa's response, because fortunately, we had the United Saves America program that Catherine James worked on so hard, and that was implemented. Kathy Hurley did implement that program in the under 80 counties. And if anyone ever had any questions, they could reach out to me. We do have, even though I'm in the metro Atlanta area, we do have under 80 counties near us, and I've always been a resource for them already. And I have a number of county chairs who would be glad to step forward and say that. So it's something I've already been doing. It would just be at a greater scale.
All right, we also received a question, and Ms. Olenek, we can start with you on this one. This came from our audience. Several of you are from Gwinnett, which has continued to go blue. How will you use your experience on what happened in Gwinnett to prevent that from happening?
I'm from New Jersey, which is navy blue. It's not easy to be a Republican in New Jersey, but I have always been a Republican. Gwinnett County started changing around 1996 when we started building motels and apartments that were used for the Olympics. You bring in large apartments, you're going to bring in what I call transient citizens into your county. So we have a lot of people that came from DeKalb County that just started walking up 78, and we had apartments now. We turned from a bedroom community into a city community, and that's the problem. If you're going to have a county that you want to keep Republican, you're going to have to limit the number of large apartments, and that's for planning and zoning. We also have to have candidates for the Board of Commissioners that are conservative and like-minded and want to have a different way of life. And that's something that I can do and the Republican Party can do, is candidate training, finding the right kind of candidate, finding a conservative. Thank you.
Fayette County is one of the counties that the Democratic Party wants to turn blue in 2026. This is for our chairman candidates. What is something you can do to help make sure Fayette County stays red? So Mr. Cross and Mr. McCune, if you'd like to answer this one.
Listen, I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you and tell you that I know everything that's going on in Fayette County, but what I can tell you is that leadership starts at the top. You've got to show leadership with, having a Republican sheriff. You've got to have as many Republicans, in your county commissions and your board of education. Leadership again starts at the top. If you're going to make it so that Fayette County does not become like Gwinnett County, it's going to take planning. You've got to make sure that you don't overbuild, put up too many apartment complexes and things like that. It's a complex strategy. But the reality is that people are coming from up north. They're bringing their values with them. They're coming to Georgia because of our climate and our economy. They want to be here. We've got to figure out how to get a Republican message to them and evangelize it to them before they get infiltrated by the Democrats.
So first, we'll be consulting with the executive team to determine the candidates, the counties we're going to target. Fayette County clearly would be one of those counties. And then what you have to do What you have to do is surge resources. We will have dedicated staff for the targeted counties. We will work with the data team at the RNC to model that voter universe, because it won't be the same voters as 2024 because Trump's not on the ballot. We saw what happened in the Wisconsin judicial election. So we got to be smart about figuring out where our coalition is, and then we've got to be smart about the messaging. We know in the 2024 election, the #1 message was the ad probably all of y'all saw about Kamala Harris being for sex change operations for illegal aliens, right? That moved more people across more demographics than anything else. So we got to show how radically left the Democrats are and how important it is to stay with solid conservative leadership. Thank you.
We're going to try and do this next one rapid fire down the line. Brad, if you'll get us started off quickly. If there are two words you probably hear the most in a convention season, it's grassroots and establishment. So Brad, starting these to work their way down the line, in 30 seconds, how do you define grassroots?
So the grassroots are the people, they're the backbone of the party. They're the people knocking the doors, making the phone calls, driving our party forward, and those are our heroes. I mean, they don't get a lot of attention, but you guys out there are really the backbone of the party.
Okay, grassroots are America First candidates. They will get out, they will knock doors, they will phone call, they will help train people how to canvass, how to make phone calls, they will recruit people. Because if we don't get out there and we don't beat the ground in 2026, we're going to turn blue. So we all need to get in and help our party.
Who is a grassroots? We all are grassroots, because I'm sure 99% of you were out there knocking on doors or making phone calls or going into the office to help people. So people can say, oh, you're not grassroots, you're an establishment. But if I was out there making phone calls, pounding the pavement, or even just driving someone around to knock on doors, that's grassroots.
Well, Shawnee, I'm just going to use myself as an example because, you know, everybody is grassroots here, and that's how I got everything started. But do we have Trump Force captains out there? Can we give them a round of applause? That's who our grassroots. For myself, I've made over 13,600 phone calls. I made it where I retired early, and that was a conscious choice that we didn't want to wake up after 2020, and we lost. We didn't want to have that happen again. So we went door knocking, we made phone calls, and that's what grassroots. Thank you.
So I'm going to take on the establishment word, which when I got elected in 2021, now I'm just a mom looking at our country, seeing it on fire. And I'm wanting to save our state, save our community, and save America. That's all I cared about. But the minute I got elected, someone came up to me and said, congratulations, you're part of the establishment now. There's a difference between the uniparty and the establishment. And there are many people who have been working in the party when everybody else was at a soccer game or a baseball game and they weren't paying attention. They were holding the line until we got here. So I have a very different view of the establishment. Yes, there are people that aren't as conservative as I am, but that doesn't make them bad.
Okay, most of the grassroots, I'm going to say it. As president of the Gwinnett Federation of Republican Women, they're the women that live in this state. The women do most of the work. Men do some work also, but I'm telling you it's the women. But it's not just someone that knocks on the door. In my opinion, I don't even think we should use the word grassroots. We are all Republicans, we are all conservatives. Everyone who casts the ballot and helps someone else to get to the election poll to cast a ballot is most welcome into the Republican Party and needed at all times.
So grassroots to me is everybody. It's you, it's me, it's the rich, it's the poor, it's all the people that consider themselves the Republicans that are out there and ready to go do the work. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So the grassroots to me is everybody, but it's the ones that are willing to go out and do the work.
All right, establishment people to me are the folks that are the forever climbers in the party. They come into the party, they want to climb, they want the next position. It's always about the next position, the next committee assignment, the next whatever, and it's all about them. Grassroots is about our country and saving our country. And it doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're poor. Some people come to the table with time, others come with talent, others come with treasure. We need to respect them, we need to show them appreciation, and we've got to get them involved.
So when I think about grassroots, I think about sacrificial giving. And honestly, I think about my wife, Jacqueline. When I ran 2 years ago, she was very supportive. And one of the things she agreed to do, she had started her own home-based small business, had had it for 10 years, and gave that up for a year to be able to volunteer full-time to help us be successful at the Georgia Republican Party. But honestly, if you are in this room on a Friday night, you are a grassroots Republican. You are committed. Thank you.
Well, I think we've pretty well established what grassroots means, and I agree, it is you. You are the worker bees. You are the heart of the Republican Party. And I look at the establishment as those that have been around for years, still recycling through the positions. So I think it's time for we get more grassroots voices at the table, and I would like to represent you as the grassroots conservative at the executive table.
There's those 3 words that begin, we the people, and it is our responsibility to get in there and get the work done. If you look at a section of sod and you see how the roots go down deep in the dirt, those are the roots, but it is those roots that cause the tops to flourish, and that's who we are. I have spent 2 decades forming coalitions, starting out with 10 Asian Americans that we flourished into the largest conservative Chinese coalition. I've done that with the Jewish coalition, with the Chinese, with the Mexicans, and I have found other people to take those spots. Those are how the grassroots work. You multiply yourself.
I have a little bit of a different take. I feel like establishment and grassroots are really one and the same, particularly when you talk what Susie just said, those roots. The establishment, that we call the establishment, they've been around. Like Sally said, they've been around to hold it together while we were on the couch with our feet, or at least me, I can only speak for myself, thinking, oh, everything's great. Bush has got this together. We're going to elect Romney. We're going to elect McCain. That didn't happen. But the grassroots and the establishment, they're both one and the same. They're all of us. They're here. I hope we all turn into the establishment, because you know what? That means we've all been here to see the work through, to we the people be involved, to continually monitor. I will never make that mistake again, to sit on the couch and be on the sidelines.
Well, when I think about establishment, obviously I do think about the people in this room, but I also think about the people who gave up their Saturdays, going out there knocking on doors, making phone calls, writing postcards, especially in this last election to help President Trump win and to help Republicans win. We are the only grassroots party. The Democrats don't do anything like the way we do. We give up our Saturdays to come here for county conventions and elect the people because you come here and elect your chairman. The Democrats don't do that. They send somebody from Washington, D.C. down here to be their voice, and that's just not the same that we do.
Well, I think we've all heard, the definition of establishment and grassroots, and I want to point out one very particular example. Sitting right here is my opponent, Caroline Jeffords. In the previous section, she said that she could not fundraise for the Georgia GOP without having a seat at the table. And then she tried to tell you that the worker bees, the ones that are knocking doors, are the same people that are the establishment that are climbing the ranks and are not listening to we the people that are knocking on doors and demanding that they listen and do what they need to do at the state legislature. So that's just a little difference in grassroots and establishment.
Well, I do believe it's all been said, but I think we need both. We need the establishment, and we need the worker bees, which is your grassroots that get out there and really sweat and knock on doors and do what they need to do to get our people elected. But like I said, it's been said so much that I'm not going to repeat it. Thank you.
Jenny might be unopposed because she's a woman of very few words, and that's one of the things we love about her. All right, we can do this next one by a show of hands real quick. Have you ever been paid to canvass or phone bank? This is a question from the audience. All right, we have another question that was submitted. This one is candidate specific. This one was submitted for Ms. Kramer. Can you hear me? Okay. Wait. Sorry, this is for Ms. Kramer, Callie Kramer. Many people monetize social media accounts and receive payouts based on the engagement they receive on them. You have a sizable following on X. Are you currently benefiting financially from the attacks you are waging against the Georgia Republican Party, including comparing the current chairman to a Klansman?
So, I do monetize my X, as do a lot of people. I have roughly 100,000 followers, but that is not what I depend on by any means. I actually have a job, and it's minimal. I would be very happy to let you guys know my last payout was less than $100, and I certainly don't do anything for clicks. It is a narrative that has been pushed, unfortunately, by the people that do not like me speaking the truth. I do not make personal attacks at people. I say things that they don't want to be heard, and therefore it is turned into that I am some horrible person that is making personal attacks. And if you go and actually read my words and not what other people are saying that I said, then you will see that I'm actually just speaking facts and drawing light, truth to light, and transparency.
So just for clarification, you don't believe calling the current chairman Josh McKay KK Kuhn was a personal attack?
No, I don't, because I don't. Because this is the thing. He called, and I mean, I would love for him to get involved in this, but he called and tried to get him to Jaquan to step out of the race so that Caroline could have a seat at the table because she's the only one that will fundraise, apparently, according to him. And that's not true at all.
All right. We have some other questions that have been posed for all candidates, and since we do want to wrap up before 9 o'clock to let everybody get home, I'm going to ask if we'll start. Brad, you're the lucky winner since you're here. He's my podium buddy.
Or I could just project.
This is a question for all of the candidates. If you are elected 2 years from now, what will you want to accomplish to believe you've been successful?
I want the Democrats totally destroyed. I want them screaming at the sky and crying. I want them to never make an attempt to take over our state again. I want total victory, big, big wins. That's what I want to be successful. Thank you.
Thought I'd never agree with you, but absolutely, we need all constitutional officers, Republicans. We need state senators down there that are Republicans and House reps. We need all our locals, Republicans, but that's probably not going to happen. But we need to make sure that we get a lot of solid grassroots, America First candidates in all those offices. If we can do that within 4 years, we've accomplished a lot.
Well, I can't do it like what Brad just did. My accent would come out, the Bostonian accent, if you haven't heard it. Anyway, what I think we need to accomplish is to make Georgia redder and not bluer or purple. And by doing that, we all need to get out and pound the pavement, use the phones, and get our neighbors out and get those low propensity people to get out, because that's where the key is, I believe, in winning.
I'm Shawnee. So I actually had survey to what people wanted, what you guys wanted. And one of those things, of course, is to get Republican elected, to continue with President Trump's America First agenda. And then we need to fundraise, because if we don't fundraise, we don't have the money to help with the events, as well as, helping with our, primary candidates, once they're, sponsored by the Republican Party. And want to improve communications, as well as implementing the training. A lot of people mention about needing training, but we already have a lot of them that we need to implement. We have the 5-star program, and we have USA program, which included all of the counties and whoever wanted to participate. And then we want to bring in all the young Republicans, as well as those that are just new. We need to train them. We need to have classes so that they understand. Like right now, a lot of people are doing transitioning from county Facebook, and nobody can get in their Facebook. So we should have trainings for that as well.
So for 4 years, over 4 years, I've been waiting to actually fight the Democrats. But even up here, there's a lot of chatter and a lot of disharmony. So what I want to do is to defeat all the Democrats. Can we stop? I want to defeat all the Democrats and their communist socialist agenda in Georgia. I want us to actually promote Republican principles and Republican principles and policies throughout the state, and hold our constitutional officers accountable for what their campaign promises are. I want us to be unified as a Republican Party, so in 2 years, if we can actually get in the boat and row together, I think we have a chance. But if all this stuff continues, I fear for the future of my grandchildren based on the vitriol. So let's unite and fight the Democrats. And if we can do that in 2 years, we can do anything together.
Okay, in 2 years, we don't have members, but I would like to say that we increased the number of Republican voters. We increased the amount of money that we have in our checking account. I would like to have $100 million in the Georgia Republican checking account. And we increased the number of Republicans in our state house, in our state senate, and we get rid of Jon Ossoff, and then 2 years later, we get rid of Warnock.
So in 2 years, I feel like we've won. If one, we've gotten rid of the Dominion voting machines. That's number one. Number two is that we have elected all Republicans, whether it's a governor, secretary of state, AG, and that we've switched out the Senator Ossoff to a Republican. That I feel like we would win. And then the third thing is I feel like we would win if all the new chair people were trained, working together, know what they need to do, and we're all unified, working together to move the Republicans' agenda and Trump's agenda forward.
I want to get Republicans elected up and down the ballot, but particularly not only at our constitutional level, but also in our counties. We've got rural counties across the state that have got Democrats that are in there, and we've got to swap them out. We've got to put new people in there. I want to stop losing elections. My competitor said that, we returned a majority, all right? That is code for we didn't win any more new seats. In the last 5 years, we have lost 19 House seats. We have lost 5 state Senate seats. We have lost 2 United States senators. And we have 5 state House seats that are up for grabs, that are within the 2% margin. We've got to be able to have a plan to be able to move those and to turn those and to bring them back. I've got the tools, I've got the resources, I've got the connections, and I am your grassroots candidate. Thank you.
So y'all can check this when you get home. But number one, I haven't been the chairman for 5 years. Number two, we haven't lost 19 House seats and 5 state Senate seats in the last 5 years. Just go check. Go home and check, and you'll see. But what does success look like in 2 years? In November of this year, success looks like winning both of the Public Service Commission statewide elections that will be on the ballot in November of 2025. Success looks like firing John Ossoff, electing Republicans up and down the ballot, but also being aggressive about picking up new opportunities. And that means investing in Georgia's 2nd congressional district to finally defeat Sanford Bishop. If we look back at the end of that 2-year period and we've raised over $6 million, doubling what we did in this last 2-year period, we win all those elections, we rebuild our election integrity and field program, I believe we can say we did a great job in 2026. Thank you.
Well, as you have heard, we have a lot of work to do, because I do agree with all this. We've got to get Georgia red and make a force out into our United States in support of President Trump. But as your next secretary, what I would like to accomplish at the end of 2 years, I would love to hear your feedback to say, because of the communication that will occur over the next 2 years between you and the grassroots, that you'll feel more informed, more educated and confident in your executive board, because you're receiving the communications and the updates and the information that you need to know what's going on at the state level.
Obviously, the one thing that I want to see is the retirement of 2 Democratic senators. I want to see the re-election of a Republican, a good Republican, under the Gold Dome as governor and in our general assemblies and our constitutional officers. But I think one of the biggest things, if we are going to grow this party, we have to do 2 things. And one of those is we have to follow the principle of Matthew 18. And that is, if you have a problem with somebody, you take it to that person. And you discuss it with that person. You don't take it to a public forum. The second thing that we have to do, if we're going to attract new people to this party, we have to do what Philippians says, and that is putting the past behind. We have to press on to the goal. We all know what that goal is. Now, Scripture is talking about the goal of Jesus Christ. However, what we're talking about is pressing on to the goal of making sure that we elect Republicans up and down the ballot in our cities, in our towns, in our counties, and that's what I want to see. And I believe that we have the spirit that can do that. That's the way we've been. And I will serve you well as your secretary.
I echo what most everyone has said here. In 2 years, success is winning elections. Excuse me, I've been sick. Winning elections, and that's the ultimate goal of the Georgia Republican Party. That's why we're all here. That's why we're all involved. So personally, success would be winning these elections, taking place this year and next year, and also increasing involvement from people that don't even know they're a Republican, but once they actually analyze their personal values and principles, realize they do align with the Republican Party, and find themselves being motivated on their own to get out and vote versus us having to pay door knockers and everybody else to light dynamite under them to get out the door and vote. So that's really where we earn the respect and the trust from others in the community that align with our principles and values, and I find that to be success.
Well, within the next 2 years, I would love to see for our county, district, and state conventions be full of college Republicans, young Republicans, and people who are just turning 18, who are fired up and ready to defeat Jon Ossoff in 2026. That is what I look at as success, because we need to be the party of the future. And if I could, I just want to address what Kylie said. I want to make something clear. The last thing that I want to do is win a race based off of my race. I want to win based off of merit. And I do not, with all due respect, Kylie, I do not think that Josh is of the KKK or anything like that. So I just want to make that clear.
Looking at the party in 2 years, the first thing I think for the state of Georgia and across the country, but is to get rid of the damn machines. President Trump obviously signed his executive order, and we need to be diligently working on that, and the Georgia GOP currently has not put a legislative agenda to put on the state legislator to do that. And then obviously it is winning the Senate race with John Ossoff, defeating him, and then all of the down ballot races. And we do that by building an infrastructure across the state of Georgia like Trump Force, but we actually do it with the grassroots here, that we don't need an outside entity to come in and help us with elections, that we have a foundation that we can build upon and continue to grow and encourage people to get involved with the party and actually have something that we are sustainable and can keep moving forward on our own. So I look forward to working with you guys over the next 2 years.
Well, education. Education is the foremost to get people to vote Republican. If we can get our values out there, and I'm talking about everybody across Georgia, they will vote Republican because our values are their values. You have very few people in Georgia that don't believe like we do. They've just been, I'm going to say, brainwashed. But that and electing conservative representatives, we don't seem to do that. And they get up there, they go conservative, but once they get up there, they're not conservative. And we need to make sure that they stay conservative. And that is your grassroots, staying on top of them.
This question is for our chair candidates. Can you gentlemen hear me? All right. 2 years ago, you both ran in hotly contested races. How have you, since being elected, worked with your former opponents and their supporters? And how, if you win, will you plan to work with your current opponent and their supporters? Mr. McCoon, would you like to go?
So 2 years ago, there were three of us in the race, Rebecca Yardley, Dennis Futch, and myself. Those of you that were at the convention will remember after the election, we came back on stage together and we raised our hands together because we wanted people to know that while there had been a rough and tumble of a campaign for several months, we understood the number one goal was being together and making sure that we got rid of Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. After that day, Rebecca, I put in charge of a lot of our training programs at GAGOP University. We had that. We also had Project USA that Catherine James and Kathy Hurley ran. And then Dennis Futch, I asked to lead our rural turnout initiative. And I'm very grateful for everything they did. Look, I'm a Republican. I'm not somebody that believes in taking my ball and going home. Whatever happens in the election, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that our state stays Republican, to make sure that we get rid of California's third United States Senator, John Ossoff, that we do what we have to do because we don't have anywhere else to go to as free people. We have to keep this state conservative. And so I will do whatever it takes. And if I win, then I'm going to lead the team. If I don't win, I will offer any assistance I possibly can to those who are elected. Thank you.
So the question again is, what are we going to do to work with folks, and what did we do to work with people in the past? Okay.
In the past, you won. How did you work with your former opponents and their supporters, and how will you take that approach if you were to win now?
Okay, so I actually worked with one of my opponents right down here at the end of the table, and we put together something called a voter intelligence tool with a group of other really bright individuals that know a lot more about computer programming than I do. We built a tool that has hyper-accurate data in it that can make it so that if you want to do voter challenges in your county, we've got super accurate data for you. If you want to go out and chase voters out there, particularly the ones that we don't know how they're voting, like the independents out there, in Georgia, 40% of the voters are independent. Out of 7 million registered voters, that's 2.8 million people. They live right next door to you. We can help you find, we call them green dots. We can find those green dots out there. I had two other folks that were in there. One is a long way away, and I wasn't going to, drag him up to these kinds of things. But, we got it, I got involved in doing, state election board rules, challenging the rules, helping rewrite rules, helping write legislation. I'm open to working with anybody that's out there. I don't care, whether you're, if you're going against me in a hotly contested election, it doesn't matter. I want to work. I want to win.
Well, we're coming up on 9 o'clock, so we'll do a quick final round, and we'll start on the far end. Sorry, Brad. We'll start down the opposite end with Ms. Jenny Ekman. For the final close, of course, everyone hopes they win, and we wish all of you the best. If for some reason you do not win your race, now this doesn't technically apply to you, Jenny, you're unopposed, but I'm going to let you start anyway. What would your commitment be to Georgia Republicans of what you will do even if you were not elected?
I would still be here to work. I have lost elections before. I don't leave. I come back. I offer whatever they need, I will do. And I'll continue to do that. If something happened and I didn't win this one, I would continue to work, and whatever assignment I was given, I would do it to the best of my ability.
And thank you, Jenny, for continuing to step up and serve. And I'm glad that you're up here, even though no one's running against you. I am committed to the Georgia Republican Party. I have had the privilege of working in 49 of the 50 states over the last decade and a half, working in politics. And it was not until 2020 that I realized that we had such a problem here in Georgia with people pretending that they're Republicans and not actually representing our state as Republicans should be leading. So I'm committed to making sure our state is turned around and making sure that we get rid of these dang Dominion machines, because until we do, nothing else really matters, because we all want to make sure that our fundamental right to have our vote count and for it to be fair, free, and secure should matter to everyone. Thank you.
I will still be involved. I have no idea what I will do. I'm not on my time, I'm on God's time. But I will do something in 2026 to help defeat Jon Ossoff.
I would continue doing everything that I have done for the past 5 years. I feel it's too important. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a 15-year-old daughter. And so it's for her future that I got involved and continue to do everything, and I would do nothing different.
We've been talking a lot about grassroots, and one of the most important places of grassroots is our precinct and our House districts. That is the essence of where you can begin to build your network. The people that are in your neighborhood, go speak to them, have coffees, have teas. Yes, I'm going to continue to build my House district and my precinct so that we can thrive even in Fulton County.
Well, God has been with me and guided me on this journey, and it has been such a pleasure of a journey. And like Jaquan said, I'm not sure. I would wait and see what God had planned for me next. However, I do know that I would support the executive committee that you elect, because like I said earlier, I respect your vote. So I would support them any way I can, or I could. I would be on a committee, lead a committee. I would step up to whatever they asked me to do. And then, of course, I would go back to Gwinnett County, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Gwinnett County to turn Gwinnett back to red.
So I've won elections, I've lost elections, more fun to win. But if I was not successful here, the project that I would be most interested in, because I think it's the biggest piece of unfinished election integrity business, and that's been talked about quite a bit tonight, is to go out. Wearing this hat, you can't really get into the primary recruitment game. But if I was no longer chairman of the party, I would make it my mission to recruit a candidate for Secretary of State whose sole platform would be, on day one after being sworn in, they would decertify the Dominion voting machines, which would force the transition to the paper ballot method that we've been talking about tonight. Thank you.
If I don't win, my focus is going to be on still trying to get rid of the machines. That's not going to happen. I am going to win. And when I do win, the first thing I'm going to do is invite the Governor Kemp to go quail hunting with me, and we're going to figure out a way to call a special session so we can get these machines decertified and out of here.
So if I don't win, I'm still the Upson County chairwoman, so I'll continue to be, yay, I'll continue to do that job to the best of my ability, but I'll also offer my help to whoever is elected, to however I can help, who I can mentor, whatever the needs are, I'm available.
Well, I think I'll take 15 minutes, and I'd be pretty sad and upset that if I didn't win, but I would just continue doing what I'm doing. I'm on the state committee. I would still be active in my county party. I'd be active in my congressional district. I would still be writing legislation for election integrity and changing the election law. I would just continue being a Republican just like you all are.
So, because I was term limited out as the Cobb chair, at the convention, I actually, at caucus, when everything was going on, I actually put my name down to be our House District 34 secretary. I wanted to be sure and stay involved and to offer help to other grassroots people on the precinct level, on the House district level. So I am a secretary of one of our House districts. But there's a reason why Senator Perdue chose me to become part of the National Election Integrity Team and for the state of Georgia, and that is because I have been very successful with getting election board rules passed, writing election board rules, and advocating not just for getting rid of Dominion and all of those things, but cleaning up our voter rolls and ensuring that our counties are actually acting as they should according to Georgia law and not at the direction of the Secretary of State the way it's going now.
Good job. So election integrity, I was sued by Stacey Abrams back in 2020 for my efforts to improve voter rolls and election integrity. So I will continue to work with True to Vote. They have an update soon on the lawsuit, and as well as being state committee member. And I do have duties for our precinct chair. And some of the things that I would like to do is still communication and training. I will approach the leadership, see what they need, and what I can help with, and continue to do that. Thank you.
Oh, what would I do? Anyway, I've won a lot of things, but I've also lost a lot of things. And I was an athlete prior to Title IX. And one of the things that I learned was it's not how you take your wins, but how you take your losses. And I pick myself up, and I will keep on going and helping where I'm needed, or like election integrity. I've been doing that for years, and just helping people. I'm there for people. So I'm not going to run away. Thank you.
Okay, if I don't win, I will offer my time and talent to the Georgia GOP to implement my 2026 grassroots, and I would help with the grassroots if I'm asked.
When I stood before you on the stage at convention in 2023, I made a solemn promise to you that I would fight for you every day, and I relentlessly kept that promise to you. I fought in the courts, I fought in the streets, I fought everywhere to re-elect Donald Trump and to build the Republican Party to be as strong as it could be. And so I will renew that commitment. The chairman knows that I'm all in, and anything he needs, I will get done for him. And just since I'm the last speaker, as a point of personal privilege, I'm friends with both David and with Josh. And I just want to say that Josh is the hardest working chairman we've ever had in this party. He works from the moment he wakes up till he's falling asleep in the back seat as we ride around the state from event to event. And he's the furthest thing from a racist you can possibly imagine. He's welcoming, he's warm, he's a great guy. And I think he gets no salary for that, by the way. Not a penny. It actually costs him money to do this and to put up with these lies and these attacks. And I just want to say thank you, Josh McCoon, for stepping up to lead the Georgia Republican Party. And I know you'll do even more and even better in your next term as chairman. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you.
All right. And with that, that concludes our candidate forum. I want to thank everyone for making the effort to be here this evening. This is a record for candidate turnout. So thanks to you, we'll set a new record for venue cleanup. We'll get all the chairs put away so our nice custodian can go home early. Thank you all so much.